Hi, this is Kylie with Fem and Flow. I hope everyone's having a great day today. Today, I wanted to talk about surviving and thriving during your Saturn return. So, some of you might be familiar with what a Saturn return is in astrology, and some may not. So, I will talk a little about what your Saturn return is. In astrology, this is when Saturn returns back to the position it was in when you were born. It takes Saturn between 27 and 30 years to travel through the zodiac, and the Saturn return lasts approximately 3 years. So, this basically means we go through our first Saturn return between the ages of 27 and 30, plus or minus 3 years. During this phase, the universe, the divine, God, source is giving you a loving parental push back in alignment with your soul's purpose. Really look at this time as a blessing and a good thing to get you back on track. I believe that before we come to this earth experience, we sit down and we choose our soul's purpose for this lifetime. We have all the information, we have a mission and a goal. And part of this, I believe, is sitting down and picking out our astrological chart in a way that will help us and aid us for our mission on Earth. And not only does it set up the mission in a way, but it also can help be a guide during this lifetime. Looking into your astrology can really aid you because it could help you understand different aspects of yourself. It can help guide you to your soul's purpose. It can help guide you into understanding what your higher self and your full expression of your soul might look like. It can help you get a lot of clarity. I mentioned how you could view a Saturn return as a nudge or a push back into alignment from the universe or God. And this push or nudge gets you back in alignment with your mission here and your soul's purpose. As you can imagine, this can come as a shock to the system. And while this Saturn return comes up every 27 to 30 years, plus or minus 3 years that it could affect, I'm specifically going to talk about your first Saturn return around 27 and 30. If you've already gone through your first Saturn return and you're not interested in listening to this, go to the end of the episode because I have a good recommendation, a good book, and a good show to watch if you're interested in other Saturn returns and other transits. I'm focusing on this first Saturn return simply because it's something I've experienced myself, so I want to help others go through it. I also know that your 20s can be a really challenging time, and while there's a lot of fun in your 20s, it can also come with a lot of confusion, growing pains, and learning how to navigate adulthood. And it can really be a lot of first times, a lot of first experiences, and it can be challenging. But as you go through your 20s, it's so beautiful after you make it through your Saturn return because that really gets you into alignment and is a big transition phase from youth to adulthood. And truly, I feel like Saturn returns, they can really sound scary when you first hear about it because it can rock your world a little bit, but I'll talk more about that. But it's just so beautiful, and I promise if you take on your Saturn return with grace and you go into it with flow and surrender and the allowing, it'll be beautiful and you'll be so grateful afterwards. You also can expect to go through major milestones during this phase of your life. And like I said, that you'll really be grateful afterwards. You really will. These are meaningful milestones, and you will learn so much, and you really will feel like a new person afterwards, and it will be absolutely beautiful. So, one of the main things I think about the Saturn return is it is a huge time of learning to go inward, listening to your internal guidance, and really learning to trust your own intuition. And this may be hard at first. I feel like going through your 20s, you are in a phase of constant learning. You're taking in your surroundings, a lot of new experiences, and you may be being told by your parents or society or teachers what you should do. Your Saturn return is a huge time where you really start to go inward instead and working on your own intuition. It'll be so amazing because you will really start to hone in and listen to yourself, and it will be amazing. This will guide you through the rest of your life. Before I talk any more about the Saturn return, if you aren't sure when your Saturn return is, you can look this up online. You just need to know your birthday, your birth time, and your birth location. I think if you go on Cafe Astrology and take a look at your full astrological chart, I believe it will show this information, but I also have just Googled Saturn return calculator before and put in my information, and it showed me this way as well. I really hope that people going through their Saturn return or people that haven't yet and it's coming up, I really hope it's finding this audience because it would just be so helpful. I went through this time of my life in my Saturn return before I knew what this was, and it was definitely a challenge for me, but I think it would have been so much easier if I had this knowledge now and if I knew what this was. I would have had some sort of guidance. I didn't know until after, and I thought, wow, that's definitely what I went through. And I looked it up, and what do you know? It confirmed. So I really hope that this episode can just help other people have a more graceful Saturn return period. And this next section that I'll talk about, it gets into how to have a pleasant Saturn return. And it's all about alignment and surrendering and just allowing the universe to guide you and get you back on track. I'm just going to say this again because I think it is beyond important to remember. Really, please think of your Saturn return as a loving and parental nudge and a little push back into the right direction from God or the universe, whatever you want to think about it. However, you personify it is perfect. And it's just that nudge, that push to get you back into alignment with your soul's purpose. Because I really believe that you came here with a purpose and a mission. And don't you want to fulfill that mission? And don't you want to be on the right path? So don't think of this as something you need to push against or that you want to keep in control. Really let go of control. Really surrender and just allow the universe to work in your favor because I promise what the universe has in store for you is so much more beautiful and so much more fulfilling than what you have planned for yourself. And one more really important thing before I go on is the main thing from your Saturn return is really learning how to go inward, listening to your internal guidance, honing, trusting, building, learning how to hear your own intuition, and just trusting yourself overall. I wanted to say that again because I just feel like we really need to look at the positive in things. And when I hear Saturn returns talked about, and when I first heard it talked about, it gave me a little fear. It scared me thinking a time of my life would just come and there would be upheaval. But do not think about it in this negative, fearful way. Really look at it like it's going to be the best thing that can happen for you. It's like that quote, things don't happen to me, they happen for me. all of this will happen for you and it will put you back on the right track. And you might not even be on the wrong path. So we'll get into that more. But just think of it so beautiful, so helpful, so loving, and just think of it as these positive aspects. Don't be afraid of it like I was at first. The key to gracefully entering and completing your Saturn return is the more flow, the better. This is a time you really want to surrender to the universe and just allow divine guidance in your life. And really trust that you only see part of the picture and you don't know what is best for you or what you wanted to achieve when you came here. You really need to just surrender and allow the divine to divinely guide you and put you on the right track. You can just surrender and allow, and you don't have to have all the answers or try to control every situation or figure it out. The more fixed, stubborn, or in control you try to be, the harder it will be. And if you ignore your inner guidance or your intuition, like if you just have this gut feeling that you're not on the right path, but you ignore it, push it down because of XYZ, and you don't listen and you just continue, this really is just delaying the inevitable. Because if you don't listen during this first Saturn return and you keep trying to control the wheel and not listen to your intuition and turn off your intuition and not listen to your gut, if you just push and push what your ego thinks is the right way to go, then you might have a harder time later on when your Chiron returns, and this is during the time when you might have a midlife crisis. In these times of crisis, like I said, they're really meant to be a loving nudge to get us back on the right track. Don't think of this as a negative or a traumatic time. It's really all done out of love. The musician Saint Finnegan just released a beautiful, beautiful song called Surrender, and it completely goes with this discussion today. The lyrics say, "Who thought divine control would be in letting go, compared to searching how and when until we're old? There's a vision that I've created in my heart. Will I see it come to life or will it fall apart? Can the universe do better than my dream?" She said, "Let it go and see." So I surrender. I heard that and thought it was the most beautiful song. I love it so much. So go look that up on Spotify or wherever you listen to music. It's so beautiful and he could not have put it better. That is exactly what you need to do because the universe knows, the universe has the full picture. It knows your perfect path, what will bring you so much love, fulfillment, and joy, and what will achieve your mission and why you came here. I understand that a lot of this might sound so great in theory, but in reality, there's these different variables that can cause a lot of fear. And I feel like it's two sides of the same coin. On one side, you might be pushing and trying to control a situation because you fear what the outcome may be if you're not in control or it doesn't go how you envision it to go. Then the other side of the coin is running from a situation, running from the unknown, and the running is also caused by fear. If you're pushing for control and you have this fear around certain things, certain thoughts, you really need to deep dive on what the root of that is. You can do some shadow work around this and figure that part of yourself out a little bit. But then you really want to learn from that, reframe your perspective, and let it all go. Never dwell on the shadow aspects of yourself or the things you've uncovered. Just truly let it go. And I really believe that once you let it go, don't make it part of your story that you tell everyone. Don't tie that to your identity. Just put it in the past and start fresh on a new foot. And the other side of the coin, if you're running, you need to do the same thing. You need to really get to the root of why you're running, why you're afraid of the situation you're running from. I- Is it because you're running from what you perceive as quote unquote growing up? Maybe you see people around you living a life that doesn't seem fulfilling to you, and you're afraid of doing that. You don't need to do this. Live how you want to live. You control your reality, you control your life. Make it beautiful, make it a life that you are proud to live. You really just need to shift your perspective. And relationships can uncover a lot of things about us, things we have deep down, maybe fears. So, if this is something with a relationship, you need to have a real discussion and have open communication. Fears manifest from where you can't see in the dark. Then, once you communicate and shine a light on these fears, it takes all the power away. So, really, it's so important to communicate openly, and you'll feel so much better. And these things that you once feared will be brought to the surface, brought to light, and you'll realize they were never that scary after all. Once we learn how to trust our inner guidance and trust our intuition, we realize that life would just be so much easier if we went by this guide all the time. We would realize there was nothing to fear and that we truly have all the answers within. And that's why this period of our first Saturn return is just so powerful and so beautiful because that's what we're learning to do. It might be a little rough at first, might be a little bumpy, but we're going to be so much better for it. This time can be really confusing because maybe in your gut, you know you're not on the right path and you're not doing what your soul came here to do and you're not happy. And also, just to point out, unhappiness and unsatisfaction can just be a nice little sign that you're not on the right path. Really, truly follow your happiness. So don't think, oh, this is life. I have to work. It makes me unhappy. Don't take it like that. Take it like, wow, this is a sign. I don't like this job. I don't like where I'm at right now. Let's change it up. Really just take it positively. But I know it can be really confusing if you know you're not on the right path, but you don't know what to do. So I have these questions that you can ask yourself. And I'm going to type these out and I'll probably put them in a PDF on my TikTok and my Instagram, in my link tree in my bio. So you can download them and fill it out. Question 1. Did I want this? Why did I want this? Is my heart in the right place with this? And this is open ended, so any situation that comes to mind, that's what you write about. Question 2. What would I do with my life and career if money weren't a variable? And what would I do if I followed and lived by my passions? What would my life look like? Question 3. What is my soul's purpose? Why did I come here? And maybe you don't know that one, but just brainstorm, write what comes to mind. What is your intuition telling you? Question 4. What feels aligned with my soul's purpose? Question 5. Do I want this or has this been pushed or programmed by society? Question 6. Look up your full astrological chart and identify where your north node is. Your north node will give you indication of what your soul's purpose is in this lifetime. Once you identified your north node, write down if this resonates with you and how this aligns with what you wrote down earlier about what you thought your soul's purpose might be. And just write whatever comes to mind on this one. Do a journal brain dump. Anything that resonates, write down and just see where this goes. Answer these questions and be brutally honest. You can throw it away afterwards if you want to, it's up to you. And then just go meditate, be in nature, be in solitude, and really be open to the universe and open to receiving divine guidance. The universe often talks to you through your own intuition. That's why it's so important we need to really get in tune with ourselves and really learn how to hear those whispers because truly that divine guidance in your intuition comes in whispers. This is the perfect time that we'll learn how to get in touch with that and learn how to follow those intuitive pings. And also, if you want, just start talking out loud to your guides and your angels and ask them for signs that you can't ignore. And this doesn't need to be serious. It can just be playful as you're walking out in nature, as you're doing whatever. Be playful with it. I mentioned this before, but really know that pain, discomfort, and discontentment is necessary sometimes to push you to shift paths and back into alignment. Really view pain this way and be open to change and truly surrender and allow the universe and divine guidance to help you and lead you. And like I mentioned, divine guidance comes internal via your own intuition and it whispers. Really keep that in mind and stop putting so much pressure on yourself. I do this all the time. And it's crazy how we truly are the cause of so much stress on our own body. It's the pressure we are putting on ourselves. We really need to let go and just be in flow more. If other people are putting pressure on you, just ignore it. Truly, ignore it. Don't try to talk them through it, tell you how you feel. Just ignore it and do you because this is the time to go internal, focus on yourself, focus on listening to that internal guidance and your intuition and learning how it is that you flow with the universe and what feels good to you. This is a beautiful time of your life that will really sharpen and prepare you for your mission here and your soul's purpose. So, I really hope that gave some background and shed some light on how to shift your perspective on this and see it as a beautiful, beautiful experience and wonderful part of your life instead of something to fear. If you're into this topic and into astrology, a really good person to look up is Barbara Handclough. I first heard of her on Gaia TV. I am a subscriber and watch shows on Gaia and really enjoy them. I watched an interview by her about her book, Astrology and the Rising of Kundalini. It was so interesting. And if you're into this, I definitely recommend watching that. And she also has a book of the same name, Astrology and the Rising of Kundalini. And she has other books. I haven't read that particular book, but I'm reading some others of her now. So she is a great resource to look into if you are really into this topic.